Hello friends, today we are going to discuss unstable angina. Unstable angina is a type of acute coronary syndrome which is characterized by ischemic chest pain which occurs at minimal exertion or at rest without myocardial necrosis, that is rise of troponins. Unstable angina is caused due to formation of thrombus over ruptured atherosclerotic plaque, which causes transient coronary obstruction. Unlike STEMI or anSTEMI, there is no full thickness or partial thickness necrosis of myocardium in unstable angina. Ischemia is transient and reversible. Now, coming to its pathophysiology. Unstable angina, as we have already discussed, is caused due to formation of thrombus over a ruptured atherosclerotic plaque. So atherosclerotic plaque is composed of lipid-rich necrotic core and fibrous core. So there are basically four steps. First, inflammation. Inflammation weakens the fibrous cap. Second, mechanical stress. Hypertension and tachycardia increases strain on the cap. Third, rupture of fibrous cap. As the fibrous cap tears, it exposes lipid-rich material to circulating blood. Fourth, thrombosis or clot formation. There is activation of tissue factor and collagen, which triggers platelet activation, aggregation, and adhesion. Coagulation cascade starts, which leads to clot formation. This clot causes partial and transient obstruction of a coronary artery, resulting in unstable angina. This reduced blood flow to the myocardium causes myocardial ischemia. Now, coming to risk factors. So, risk factors of unstable angina can be divided into three categories: modifiable risk factors, non-modifiable risk factors, and emerging risk factors. Coming to non-modifiable risk factors first. Age, more than 45 years in males and more than 55 years in females. Sex, males are more predisposed than females. Third, family history of coronary artery disease. Now, coming to modifiable risk factors. Modifiable risk factors may include hypertension, diabetes mellitus type 2, dyslipidemia, sedentary lifestyle, obesity, unhealthy diet, psychosocial stress, excess alcohol consumption. Now, coming to emerging risk factors. Emerging risk factors may include lipoprotein A, elevated lipoprotein A. Second, CRP. CRP is a marker of inflammation. Third, sleep apnea. Fourth, CKD, chronic kidney disease. Now, coming to clinical features of a patient with unstable angina. So, a patient with unstable angina may present with new onset, acute severe retrosternal chest pain. There is a sense of heaviness or squeezing type of chest pain which is radiated towards left arm, jaw, left shoulder, and even back. It is associated with little or no exertion, and it is not completely relieved after taking nitroglycerin. The pain usually lasts for more than 20 minutes but less than 30 minutes. It may be associated with other symptoms in the form of nausea, vomiting, diaphoresis, sweating. Now, coming to investigations in a patient with unstable angina. Initial evaluation in a patient with unstable angina should include routine investigations like CBC and KFT. Second, ECG. ECG changes in the form of non-specific ST changes, ST segment depression or T wave inversion may be present. Dynamic ST changes is the hallmark in a patient with unstable angina, as ischemia is transient and reversible. So these changes appear when a patient complains of chest pain and it resolves when the chest pain subsides. Now coming to echocardiography. Role of echocardiography in a patient with unstable angina. So first, echocardiography helps to detect left ventricular ejection fraction and to detect regional wall motion abnormalities in patients with unstable angina. Second, it also helps to guide further treatment. For example, if a patient has extensive left ventricular ejection fraction abnormality, that means patient require aggressive treatment in the form of early invasive approach, PCI and angioplasty. Or if a patient has normal echo, which suggests less extensive myocardial ischemia, so in such a patient, conservative therapy may be followed. Echocardiography also helps to rule out other conditions that may mimic a patient with unstable angina. For example, pericarditis, pulmonary embolism, or cardiomyopathy. Now, coming to cardiac biomarkers. Cardiac biomarkers are normal in patients with unstable angina. We can differentiate a case of unstable angina from NSTEMI on the basis of cardiac biomarkers. In NSTEMI, cardiac biomarkers are elevated. Now, coming to the role of coronary angiography in a patient with unstable angina. Coronary angiography helps to locate the exact site of stenosis and severity of stenosis in a patient with unstable angina. It also helps in guiding treatment. Now the treatment of unstable angina can be classified into following three headings. First is immediate treatment, second is risk assessment, and third is definitive treatment. Now coming to immediate treatment first. So patient should be put on oxygen support if SpO2 is less than 90%. Second, anticoagulants in the form of LMWX or conventional heparin should be used in order to prevent further clot. Then antiplatelet therapy, aspirin and P2Y12 inhibitor, for example clopidogrel or ticagrelor, should be used. Then beta blockers, mainly carvedilol, metoprolol and bisoprolol, should be used as they reduce myocardial oxygen demand. Then statins in the form of atorvastatin or rosuvastatin should be used. Then nitrates. If patient complains of chest pain, then nitrates can be used as they reduce preload in such patients. Then ACE inhibitor or ARB can also be used if patient has associated hypertension, diabetes mellitus or LV dysfunction. Now coming to risk assessment. So there is a score which is called as TIMI risk score, which is used to predict adverse cardiac event like myocardial infarction, death or early revascularization in a patient with unstable angina or NSTEMI. So each of the following is taken as 1 point. Number 1, age more than 65 years. Number 2, Three risk factors for CAD. Number 3, more than 50% stenosis on a coronary angiogram. That is, patient happens to be a known case of coronary artery disease. Number 4, ECG changes. Number 5, elevation of cardiac biomarkers. Number 6, patient has been taking ecosprin since last 7 days. Number 7, 2 anginal episodes in last 24 hours. TB risk score also helps to decide if the patient requires conservative management or early invasive management. If TB risk score is more than 5, then angiography should be planned preferably within the initial 24 hours, and angioplasty should be done if the lesion is found. Now coming to definitive management. In definitive management, angiography along with percutaneous intervention in the form of angioplasty should be done in high risk patients of unstable angina. Thank you.